Let's get started. For the next probably 16 minutes, if you could turn off your cell phones, turn off your Facebook, this can really have a major impact on your business and what you are going to accomplish in 2022, from your revenue goals. So if everyone wants to, please pay full attention, and hopefully we can get you some information that will really, get the phone ringing more and get you some additional revenue coming in. So today we're going to talk about the latest updates with Google Maps listings. We're going to talk about the 5 biggest issues that could be preventing your company from ranking in the maps. We're going to talk about our proven model for ranking in the 3-pack and the best tools to kind of systematize and automate the heavy lifting as we go through this. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jim Aline. I am the co-founder of Roofer Marketers. I am the author of 2 books, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I speak at a lot of the major industry events, Win the Storm, RoofCon, IRE, a lot of those. We're members of the NRCA. We're a Google partner. We're the ICO Roof Pro digital marketing partner, and I am the host of the Roofing Success podcast. So hopefully if some of you have tuned into that. And really, this is what we do all day, every day. We do digital marketing for roofing companies. The foundation of what we do, and let me just mute people there. Make sure that you're muted. All right. So we focus on 3 principles to our marketing strategy. There is no one way to do this in 2022. Just doing pay-per-click is not a great marketing strategy. It's a tactic, it's not a strategy. Google local service ads is a tactic, not a strategy. Just doing Facebook ads or just doing social media or just doing SEO are just pieces of the puzzle. So we have 3 principles to our marketing system that we work around. First is to maximize the opportunity for your company to generate a lead online, generate a phone call, generate a form submission. The second is to maximize your brand impressions to your perfect customer, because the more times people see you, the more likely they are to trust you and buy from you. And the third is to maximize conversions around all of the different aspects of your digital marketing. So today we're going to talk about Google Maps. So, I like to keep this interactive, where I'm not the only one just speaking into the interwebs. So if you want to type in chat, if you think, type number 1 if you think Google Maps matters, type number 2 if you think that they really don't matter in 2022 going forward. All right, everyone's on their phone. Great. Dwayne, thanks. 15094. I don't know what your name is, but thanks for the 1. Of course, Google Maps matters. Google Maps matter, right? There's been a lot of changes to the way that Google shows the listings in Google Maps, but over the last couple of years, but they really, really matter. And they really matter because about 44% of all the clicks and calls on the page, when people are searching at what we refer to as the bottom of the funnel, when they're looking to make a phone call, that comes from the Google Maps section. So that's an enormous potential for getting your phone to ring. So yes, Google Maps matters. Why are maps listings important? Why is it important, as part of your overall digital marketing strategy? For a lot of our clients, especially from their organic efforts without huge budgets and pay-per-click, most of the phone calls that come from organic come from their Google My Business listing. You can see here, this is a client of ours, Prominent Construction. They had 335 calls from their Google My Business listing over this. This was a little while ago in 2019, but that continues to increase year over year over year. So Google Maps drives phone calls. You don't want to be reliant only on paid strategies. The organic strategies are a great piece of the puzzle to bring down that overall cost per lead over time, bring down that customer acquisition cost over time. So, you don't want to just rely on the paid methods. So some of the biggest changes in Google Maps are, they're very geographically based. So I talk about that each of the kind of the opportunities that you have for your roofing business online, each of the opportunities have advantages and disadvantages. And in each of those, so in the Google Maps section, one of the things that Google has done over the years is it's even tightened the radius of your geography of how your Google Maps listing shows up. So Google is also serving paid ads in the map results. So it's kind of taking over pieces of the map results with its paid platforms. Google Local Service Ads, not home services, Google Local Service Ads is live in all major markets now. And for a lot of different services now, it's starting to show up if you're an exterior contractor for siding and windows and, lots of different things that you could do there. And Google Local Services plus the Google Map has a huge opportunity, but it's critical to complete the advanced verification processes and get these things going for your business. So I want to start showing with talking about the geography. And I think this is one of the most important parts of managing your expectations in the map section is managing is understanding how Google Maps really works from a proximity perspective. So on the left here, we did the same search on the left and right for roofing companies. Not roofing companies with this geographic modifier, Minneapolis, St. Paul, anything like that, just roofing companies. But we did it from two different locations in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area. On the left here, we did it from Minneapolis, and you could see that when we did it from St. Paul, there's completely different results. Minneapolis and St. Paul are, the Twin Cities. It's a big metropolitan area. So just being in another location, you may or may not show up in the maps listing. I hear this from contractors all the time. They're like, well, I was out on a job and I searched on my phone and I couldn't find my company. But when I'm over here at my office, I see myself all the time. What's going on? Well, it's that proximity factor, right? Google is either taking the words that you type in for the location, or it's taking the location that it's finding you based on your IP address. So based on where your phone is located or where your computer is located. So it's doing that and showing you results in those areas. So then you have the Google Local Service Ads have become very prominent on the page and are also kind of tied to your Google My Business listing in terms of reviews and things like that. So you have a strong correlation between the two of them. So as these impact search results, the Google Local Service Ads show up right at the top of the page. Then you have your Google Ads right below that. Google Map My Business listings below that, and then the websites that Google feels most relevant to that search query below that. There are big opportunities here, but each of them have advantages and disadvantages, as I mentioned. Google Local Service Ads, those have a great cost per lead, but there are a lot of companies signed up in the program, so you can't really just print or get as many leads as you want out of there. Google pay-per-click, Google AdWords, is the most expensive way to make your phone ring. So that's a disadvantage there, but it can be extremely targeted, which is a great advantage. The maps listing, the advantage there, lots of people call through there. You can showcase your reviews and the trust in your company through the amount of good reviews that you've gotten. But the disadvantage is it's proximity based. So, you're not going to show up through a major metropolitan area, if you're just showing up, if you're with your maps listing. And then you have the websites. In the websites, you're competing against all the big lead aggregators. You're competing against HomeAdvisor and Angie's List and Better Business Bureau and Yelp and all these companies that are spending millions and millions of dollars on getting their websites ranked there. So Google Local Service Ads kind of ties in with your Google My Business listing, and it is an extremely impactful thing to do. So if you haven't done that, if you haven't gotten set up in Google Local Service Ads, go to AdWords, or it's ads.google.com/local services-ads. I'll have Nikki drop that in the chat. So some of the biggest changes, in the past couple of years, our local service ads have been added. AdWords has changed. Then you have your maps listings that, now there are ads that can be run in the maps listings. And then the third party, the real big lead aggregators have really taken over the website area. There's still a few companies listed in there for every search, but it's really challenging to overcome HomeAdvisor and Yelp and all of those guys. So also, since 2015, Google has reduced fake Google Maps listings by as much as 70%. So it's been a real big initiative of Google to get rid of fake reviews, get rid of fake listings. There was a strategy, 5-7 years ago where you could just go out and get a bunch of maps listings all over town, and that would drive those calls for you. But Google realized that, right? Google realized that at every UPS store, there was, all of these companies trying to rank in the maps. And Google realized that, at every, Regis virtual office, there's a bunch of companies trying to rank in the maps. And so they started reducing these, right? They started pulling out these fake listings. And there are still some out there, they're still out there, but man, as a strategy from going forward in 2022, it's really not something that you really want to be doing. So let's now talk about what could be hurting your rankings in the map. So the first thing is you need an office in the city that you are trying to rank well in. Like I talked about, there's a strong proximity factor. So if your perfect customer lives in Fort Worth and your office is in Dallas or Plano, you're going to have a hard time with that. Even if, being even more specific, if your office is in a very industrial area of the city, you're going to have a harder time driving phone calls because there's not as many homeowners near that office. If you go to Google and type in the city name that you're trying to rank for, into the map. So go to the map, type in the city name. Google will draw a boundary around that city name. So you want to check if your address is within that city boundary. It's a weird kind of ranking thing, but a weird thing in their algorithm. But, sometimes right around the outskirts of the city, it's like unincorporated. Like I grew up in Sacramento, California, and we lived in kind of an unincorporated area. Our mailing address said Sacramento, but we weren't in the city of Sacramento. And so there's a lot of that around, major metropolitan areas. And so you want to make sure that your physical location is within those lines that Google has drawn, because that's where Google thinks that that city is. So you need an office in the city that you are trying to rank in. So if your Google My Business listing is not in that city, there's your expectations. You can't have the expectation to rank in that city. Don't try to spam Google with a bunch of fake locations like we talked about. You know, it was a strong strategy for the 2000 teens. But now Google is getting smarter and smarter. They're making it harder and harder to verify your locations. Sometimes they're asking for a video. They're asking you to go out and take a video of your physical location with signage and everything. So Simon has a question. So what can be done about not having an office in every city where you're targeting? I live in a small city outside of Austin, but would like to work outside of my home city. So Simon, the best, I guess, it's just, you're not going to get the results from the maps, right? You still have the ability to rank your website for those other areas. You also have the ability to run Google pay-per-click advertising, Google local service ads, and social media advertising. You can run Facebook ads and things like that in that area. So Google Maps is just not the tool for that job, right? So when you're trying to do work, you said you live in a city outside of Austin, little small town or something, a little small city. Now you're trying to rank. If you're trying to do work in Austin, you have a couple of choices. If you want to show up in the maps in Austin, you move your office, right? It's a business decision, unfortunately. But you have other opportunities. Like I said, Google local service ads, Google pay-per-click, organic, and social media marketing. So it's the tool for the job, right? Are we using a hammer? Are we using a screwdriver? What are we using for the job? They're all tools, but each of them work in different ways. So don't expect to get good results in the maps. You have other opportunities. Hopefully that kind of helps that explanation there, Simon. So another thing that could be hurting your maps listing with those fake locations is Google wants consistency. Google wants to see your name, address, and phone number, and this kind of goes into number 3. This kind of goes into number 3 and into Simon's next question. What's the cheapest way to get a business location? Basically work out of my, of course, everyone basically works out of their trucks, and you have a home office. You're a small company. All right, we'll mute that person. The best way to get a business location is to look for small, like single office type of situations. There's small office space near me, or small office space Austin. Usually you can sometimes you can rent these offices for $300 to $500 a month, something like that is what we found. So that's an opportunity for you to get that business location working away from your house. If you have a home office, it's okay. You can have your Google My Business listing running off of your home office. But if your home office is not where you want to show up, then that's where you'll have to make that business decision to go spend that $300, $500, $800 a month to show up in that other area. And that kind of goes with those fake locations. So now if Simon has his office in the smaller town outside of Austin, now he has another office in Austin and one up in Round Rock, and they're all over the place. Now Google goes, well, which one is his real company, right? So that's where you want to not try to spam Google with all these fake locations. Google's looking for consistency in your brand and looking to see your brand across the internet in what we refer to as citations. It's the way that your name, address, and phone number is listed across the internet. Also, don't use spam in spam your city or services in your business name. Simon, what's the name of your company? Drop that in chat. maybe you didn't hear me, but so let's say you're Simon's Roofing Company, right? Accent Roofing and Remodeling, perfect. So you wouldn't add Accent Roofing and Remodeling Austin or something like that to your name. Google wants to see your actual business name in your maps listing. So don't spam your company name. Also, don't, if it was Accent Roofing and Remodeling, don't also add siding, gutters, windows, doors to try to spam the Google's maps listing. So make sure that your name is consistent. Accent Roofing and Remodeling. And then that's also in building out citations, and we'll go a little bit more into detail about that in a second. But citations is just the way that Google sees your name, address, and phone number around the internet. So in the Yellow Pages and on the Better Business Bureau and in Yelp and on Home Advisor and on, if you're GAF Master Elite, on GAF Master Elite. And so that's the way that helps with that. Simon asked, how does like places like Kentucky Fried Chicken have multiple locations without messing those things up? Is if you go to their website and look at the locations, it's very segmented, right? It's very segmented that this is the Kentucky Fried Chicken on 123 Main Street, and then this is the Kentucky Fried Chicken on 235 Fake Street, right? They're very segmented, and Google gets to understand the different locations. Now, it also is smart enough to understand that roofing companies don't have as many locations as Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? So it's not the same. And so, you don't want to have them on all locations, and people aren't searching the same way. Kentucky Fried Chicken is, hey, what's the nearest one to me that I could get directions to, right? It's not ranking. They're not ranking for the same reasons as you would be. Yep. Dwayne says my competitor has a PO box here and does quite well. It still works, right? It's one of the things, maybe he's had it for a while. Google is not perfect. Their algorithm isn't perfect, but they're trying to do away with as much of that as possible. So as a strategy, if I was a business owner today doing this, I wouldn't do a PO box, right? Maybe they've gotten enough traction over time that Google's like, okay, we'll do it, but it's a risk. It's a risk of getting those taken down later. And that's what Google will do. It was spring of 2019. So it was 2 years ago. No, spring of 2000. I think it was spring of 2020. Google knocked out 4.5 million Google My Business listings in a day, just took them down. So that's where you want to do it right. And if you do it right, you're doing it for the long term. And so that's the challenge. It's a challenge sometimes, right? Having to spend that extra $300,000, $500,000 to have an office, but you're a business, right? There are business expenses that are involved in running your business. The other part is having enough reviews, right? That's a big thing. If you don't have enough reviews, even if you're showing up in the maps listing, right? Even if you're showing up in the 3-pack, if your competitors have as many review or have better reviews or more reviews than you do, you may not be getting the phone call. All right, let's see here. So Simon says, so the various map pages are tied into the main web page. Exactly. So there's a strong correlation between your website and your Google My Business listing. If I wanted to have accent in each of those surrounding cities, I could rent a small business location, help Google separate that, have a page for each. Exactly. And then each of those Google My Business listings would have a link to that specific page. So, but there's a little bit more to that. So how many reviews are suggested for a customer? Bill asks for a customer to feel good about your business. I would say once you get above 30, people start feeling comfortable, but it also depends on who you're showing up next to. So sit in your office, type in roofing company near me, look at the maps and look at the companies in your area. And really do you have as many or more good reviews as they do? So if like some of the more top people in your area have 50 reviews, 60, 50, 60, 40 reviews, then that's your first goal. Get to that 50, 60, 40, 40, 50, 60 reviews. If everyone in your area has 100, 130, you got to get, your goal is to get to there. Every now and then you're going to get the anomaly of the company with like 600 reviews and things like that. I would say that once you get into the 3 digits, it's not as much of an impactful thing, unless you get to multiple 3 digits, like 400 or 500 reviews, and they're all 5-star. So if you saw a company that had a roofing company, you guys are in roofing, that never had a customer that complained, never had a customer that said, you know what, I don't give 5 stars. You guys did an amazing job, but I just don't give 5 stars. I'll give you 4 stars, right? And that's where it starts to get weird. So psychologically, between a 4.3 and a 4.8 rating is kind of the sweet spot there. Hopefully that's helpful, Bill. And we could talk about more ways of getting those reviews in a little bit here. So the first thing that you want to do in our proven formula, you got to claim your Google My Business listing, right? Claim and optimize it. We have to build citations and consistency around your name, address, and phone number. You got to get real reviews and then do on-page optimization. So the first thing is claiming and optimizing your Google My Business listing. You have to, get your login, update your company name to read your exact company name as it is, as it's filed with your, with their Secretary of State in your area, or as your DBA, whatever your formal DBA is. Add your website address. This will create an important link between it's telling Google, hey, my website and my Google My Business listing, these things go together. For those multiple locations, Simon, you want to have that address link to that specific location page. Now, I wouldn't recommend having multiple locations in Austin, right? But let's say you had Austin, New Braunfels, San Marcos, San Antonio, something like that, right? Where you're spread out a little bit more. Then that Google My Business listing goes to that specific page. Use local numbers, 800 numbers, or just don't, people are looking for local businesses to work with. Don't use PO boxes or UPS stores if possible. One way to think about this, if you're looking at a UPS store or if you're looking at a virtual office and you're like, hey, Jim, I'm just going to do this because this is the way I want to do it. Take that address, put it into Google, and see what Google thinks is located at that address. I did this with a company yesterday. They had an address in Madison, Wisconsin, and we dropped their address in, and Google had 3 businesses on that map. It was them. It was like a home builder and like a dance studio or something like that, right? So now you have more to overcome, right? You have to then be able to work hard. You have to work harder to differentiate yourself and to make Google know that you're the company at that address. So that's a little trick. Go in, search the name of the address, search the address, or for yourself, right? Right now, if you take the address that you have listed on your Google My Business listing, drop that into Google, that's going to tell you what Google thinks is at that address. So if you have good citations built out, Google's only going to see your name, address, and phone number at that location. So little ways to check. Let's see here. Simon says mostly 5-star reviews from customers going back decades. That's awesome. Picked up a handful of 1-star with no explanation. It happens. Not sure you ever did business with them. It's the internet. People are horrible. You may get, it's unfortunate. 3 from a guy, his girlfriend, and a friend because the person felt like I got too close to them in a parking lot. Negative. You can go in and submit that the review is the review to be removed. A lot of times as companies grow and you get more employees, you got trucks on the road, sometimes wrap trucks and things like that. It's a pet peeve of mine, but it happens, right? All of a sudden you get a review of they cut me off in traffic, and it's like, oh man, this has nothing to do with our service. One thing that you can do is positively respond to that review. Hey, I don't see you in our system. I don't know, if you could let me know, we'd be happy to work with you on resolving your issue if we knew exactly who you were, right? Like, please call us and work this out. And then as people read through those negative reviews, they're seeing you say, hey, I'm willing to take care of this. Just give us a call. Let's work this out. We're here to help you. Upload a lot of photos, personal photos, pictures of your staff, pictures of your office, pictures of your trucks. If you got a nice catch-all or that with your logo on it, or an equipter, things like that. Your logo, people connect and resonate with people, right? So you want to really have your team on there. Real pictures of yourselves. List your service area. If you don't have a physical office, you have to set it up as a service area business. This has changed into 2022. We are seeing companies listed as a service area without showing their address being negatively impact in their rankings. List your hours of operation, services that you provide. So here's some examples, right? You want your main category to be roofing contractor. If you also do other exterior contracting, siding, windows, you could select those as secondary categories. You want to make sure, like we said, uploading photos, upload real photos of your team. These guys have a picture of themselves out at the home show. They have, some awards that they won, pictures of projects, all those types of stuff, getting great reviews, selecting the right categories, updating your photos on a consistent basis, right? So continue to add to them. There's also something in there called Google Posts. It's, I don't know, it's just similar to how you can make a post on Facebook, but you want to leverage your Google Posts in there and start to build those up. Dwayne, we'll go through that review service. We'll talk about those in a little bit for sure. So leveraging your Google Posts, keeping your posts active in there. You can put offers, like if you have a spring offer, if you have a fall offer, something like that, you could do that in your Google Posts. Post at least every month, I would say. If you could post weekly, it's better. Respond to reviews like we talked about. We did talk about responding to negative reviews, but you also want to respond to positive reviews. Hey, Judy, it was really great working with you on this. I'm glad your experience was, you had an amazing experience. And then this also allows you, Google only knows how to read. So here's a little, kind of tricky thing for you, but Google only knows how to read. So in the responses to your reviews, you can add words that you would like to show up for in Google. So for example, hey, Judy, thanks for leaving this great review. It was our pleasure to install your new standing seam metal roof. And so talking about the services that you provide, and in that, Google starts to pick up on those things and will potentially show you ranking in other things. It doesn't happen very often in roofing, but answer the questions that get posted on your Google My Business listing. So let's talk about the foundation, right? The 80-20, the 80-20 rule of building citations. So the more that Google sees your name, address, and phone number in the exact same matter over and over and over again on the internet, the more comfortable they will feel in showing you in the map section. Just think about it logically. If they see you everywhere, name, address, and phone number, same manner, it makes them feel more comfortable. So It also, limits the amount of duplicates. You never want to confuse Google. Like, well, is this, where's Accent Roofing in Austin, or is this Accent Roofing in Dallas? Right? Which one is it? Or is this Accent Roofing in Round Rock, or is this Accent Roofing, in San Marcos? Like, what is this? So if you're confusing Google, you're going to be negatively affected in that. So the way to combat that is to go out and build up these directory listings all across the internet. Limit duplicate and incorrect business information. If you ever move offices, you're going to have to go back and do a cleanup of all of them and get them resubmitted with the correct information. It's a really, really important factor. If you've heard of the, kind of Pareto's law, 80-20 rule, this right here is an 80% thing, right? This is that or it's the 20% that gives you 80% of the results, right? It's 20% of the effort. Go and get these built out. Lead aggregators help with this. They distribute down these your name, address, and phone number into multiple directories. There are thousands and thousands of directories all over the internet. So being on the top kind of sites are important, but then also being listed in like the Austin local business directory, right? Like that's another, those are very important also. So some of the tools that you can use for this, some of the, kind of shortcuts for this are like Bright Local, Moz, Whitespark, Yext. Yext is a service that, it's a paid service. All these are paid services, but like Yext will go in and optimize, or it lets you control like 50 or 60 of the big listings, Yahoo and Yelp and all these different places, all from one dashboard. So if you make a change in Yext, it goes out and makes a change in all of those for you. Bright Local has a really great citation building service. You go to brightlocal.com, you type in your business address and hit find citations. It'll create a list of citations that it can put you in and that it recommends. And you can do it that way. Moz Local and Whitespark are also good for that. If you want to know how you're performing, how your citations are performing, go ahead and reach out to us, and we'll be able to perform a citation consistency and accuracy check for you. This is an example of what it will look like. Like, it looks up. It's a tool that we use that looks up where your name, address, and phone number and how it's shown across the internet. So we'd be happy to do that for you. What is, I'll stop here for a question Simon has. What is your opinion of geotagging services where you capture out in the field pictures and short text as they go around your day, like nearby now and things like that, throwing keywords in the message? I'll tell you, we've tested a few of them, and you're still not, Google is still going to work off of the proximity of your location. So it may give them some signals as to where you are doing business, but again, you're outside of Austin, right? So if you have nearby now and you're doing all of your builds up in Round Rock, right? And you're dropping your pin on nearby now, you're dropping your pin, dropping your pin, dropping your pin. I don't care how many pins you drop in Round Rock. If your address is in that small town, outside of, and I guess I'm imagining you're west of Austin, maybe you're up in Round Rock, I don't know. But if you are dropping those, you can drop as many pins as you want in a different location. Your Google Maps listing will still show up where it's at, right? Your proximity factor will still play in that regard. So you're northwest of Austin near Leander. Okay. So, yeah, that, like, if you went up northwest, okay, northwest Leander. Okay. So yeah, Round Rock would be a good example, right? Like, That's like northeast, if my geography is correct, right? Or like, so now you're dropping all your pins up there, or if you're going south down to like New Braunfels or something, and you're dropping all your pins in New Braunfels, well, you're northwest of Austin. It's a far, that's a far distance down to New Braunfels. So having, the tools can be, they can have some impact locally, but they're not going to give you that 80-20 rule, right? They're not going to, just using that tool is not going to get you to show up in the maps listing. If you don't have your citations well sorted out well, I don't care how many pins you drop on Nearby Now, you're not going to rank in the maps listings. So hopefully that was helpful for you. So citation best practices: manually claim and optimize your Google My Business. Use a tool like Yext, Bright Local, SynUp. All of these get listed in the major data aggregators. Leverage tools like Bright Local. Find niche opportunities like with White Spark and other tools, and just get those built out. Here are some of the top citations that we find for roofing contractors. Unfortunately, HomeAdvisor.com. Having your business listed on HomeAdvisor.com, that name, address, and phone number, it's Google. HomeAdvisor is a very authoritative website in Google's mind. So being listed on there helps. YellowPages.com, another very authoritative website to Google. Thumbtack, Better Business Bureau, Angie, Yelp, Porch, all of those are very important. Brands for roofing. Being listed on GAF, on OC, on ICO, on Certainteed, on all of your manufacturer websites, being listed on there, and those are all great for listings. If you're on ABC Supply, or if you're all Guild Quality, even a lot of these places are good for your brand. Again, lots of real reviews. Let me see here. This is, someone had a question earlier about tools, what tools to use. So is that, Dwayne was asking, is there a review service that you could recommend? So there's a lot of them, right? You can use Grade.us, Review Buzz. I think you had mentioned, what did you mention here? Get More Reviews. We have reputation management integrated into our lead management system that we provide our clients. It's called Contractor Boost. So here's the down and dirty on all of these: Bird Eye, Podium, all of these systems. Just because you send a text and an email doesn't mean you're getting a review. You still have to ask. So what you have to do is build a process into your company that allows for asking for that review. I did a great podcast episode with Adam Butorf of Renown Construction down in the DFW. I've done 2 episodes with him. It's the first one. It was years ago. And he talks about how he integrates this into his process. Almost from the inside salesperson, the customer service person, the office person that's answering the phone, they're already starting the conversation about reviews. Then when the salesperson gets out there, does the inspection, they're at the kitchen table, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, if we do a great job for you, would you be willing to leave us a review on Google? Right. And they're all going to say, yeah, Jim, if you do a good job for us, we're willing to leave you that review on Google. Then on production day, if the salesperson is managing the job, or if your production manager or job site supervisor, whoever's out there communicating with the homeowner that day, reiterates that. Hey, when you sat down with Jim at the kitchen table, he asked you if we do it, you said that if we do a good job for you today, you'll leave us a review on Google. You still willing to do that, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner? Well, yeah, Jim, sure. Yeah, I'll do that for you if you do a good job. Cool. Now everything's complete. Doing final walkthrough with the homeowner. Look at this beautiful, new roof. Look at everything that's done. Hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we didn't, your rose bushes are still intact. Hey, there's no nails in your driveway to give you a flat tire after we leave. All of these things. Would you still be willing to leave us? Did we do a good job for you? Would you still be willing to leave us that review on Google? All right. Yeah, I'm still willing to do that. Well, here, let me send you the link. Can you do that for me now? No, like right now, could you do that for me? It really helps other people understand the quality of work we do. And we want to serve the Austin community and do, we're one of the good guys. So we want other people to understand that. Can you do that for me now? Right. And so in doing that, man, you have to build it into your process. So I don't care what tool you have. No tool can replace that conversation ever. I know some companies that do follow-up calls from someone inside the office, after the job is completed, that help to try to get that review. There's a lot of ways to do this, but there's a lot of ways to do it, right? But building it into your sales process works. So Simon dropped in, would friends and family addresses with their permission to give an office on a GMB page, would that fly on Google? Yeah, Simon, but it just sounds like to me, you're just trying to find a way around it, right? So let's be honest, like you can do that, and it may work, and it could work for a long time. It could work for a little amount of time. But it's better to just do what's the real thing for the long term. If you're just trying to find a new way to get around Google's algorithm, Google is always going to find a way to shut that down. So it can work, right? But it's not the greatest thing. Like I said, you may have to use, this is only one of the opportunities to generate a phone call. You have your Google local service ads, you have your Google pay-per-click advertising, you have your SEO, you have your Facebook ads, you have all of these other opportunities to make the phone ring. Don't try to use a hammer when you need a drill, right? So you're trying to just, it's, and not to be hard on you, but I just want, you can do that, right? I wouldn't recommend it. So now let's move on to on-page optimization. Google, there's a strong correlation between your website and your Google My Business listing. So on-page optimization is huge for maps. You want to have pages for each and every service that you offer in great detail. You want to mention your keywords and cities served on the home pages, within the titles and within the content. And service area pages with links to cities nearby, full name, address, and phone number in the footer in the homepage. So pages for all of the services that you provide. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, Simon. I just, sometimes there's a cost to doing business, and some things are more expensive than others. I understand where you're coming from. Also, it's tough. So all of the different services. So commercial, residential, roof replacement, new roof installation, but then even getting more granular into the types of roofing systems that you install. Asphalt shingle, metal, cedar, all of these different things. If you're on the commercial side, TPO, bitumen, all of the different, getting very granular into the services that you provide. And when we get off of the call here today, go and Google a couple of these things. Type in commercial roofing companies near me and go down to the maps listing, and you're going to see Google adds a little notation. Sometimes it'll say their website mentions commercial roofing, this company provides commercial flat roof services. Well, where they're getting that information is from your website. So the more granular you have your website built out, the better it is, right? The more granular. If you have, if you do metal and you do stone coated steel, you do standing seam, you do multiple things, have categories for each and every one of those. Make sure that your name, address, and phone number, right? You have your own citation on your website in the footer, and make sure that that links to your Google My Business listing. So you're creating a little loop for Google, right? Google's on your Google My Business listing. You have your website. Now on your website, you have a link back to that Google My Business listing. So it creates a nice little loop for them. Make sure that you have pages for all of the cities that you do work in. And in doing so, you're optimizing each of those pages for that specific location. So we have our proven formula, right? Claim and optimize your Google My Business listing. Build the citation, lots of online, lots of real reviews, lots and lots and lots of real reviews, and then on-page optimization. And just to show you kind of what the results of some of these simple things are. This is a company that I helped out. They're not even a client of ours, right? They went through this webinar a couple of years ago. In 2020, they went through this webinar. They did the things that we kind of talked about on this webinar, and they became number one in their area for the term roofers, from showing up almost very tight, in a very tight proximity, and not even showing up in the maps in most places. And then again for roofing contractors, and then again for roofing companies. So these things work. We would be happy as clients of ours. We take care of all of our clients and do all of the work for you. So, we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about if we can do that for you. We don't just work with the big 10, 15, 20, $30 million companies. We also work with startups, companies that are in that, $1 million range, 750,000 to, 1.5 million, in any range. We have different products, kind of programs that could help you guys succeed and take that off your plate. As business owners, I know you're busy. There's so many things in running your business. This is just one of them. Also, make sure you check out the Roofing Success podcast. I interview lots of great roofing contractors on how they found success in their business, the lessons they've learned. Also, great industry experts. Some of my friends are on there, Adam Bensmans and Chuck Dokies, and lots of these really informative, helpful people in the industry. So, with about 5 minutes left here, I'd be happy to take any questions and go into more detail on anything that you guys want to do. If you want to just reach out and help, and see how we can help your roofing business, go to roofermarketers.com. Give us a call at 855-799-1252. If anyone else has a question, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll help you answer them. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate your time, man. Hopefully I got a lot of questions answered for you. Okay, so I don't know your name. 15094 said, you don't want to put links on your website that send people away from your website. That is a standard, that's a good practice in web development, right? And so that's true, but to have it go to your Google My Business listing is okay, because that's still a property of yours. I don't want them going to GAF, right? So like if you link your website to your GAF listing, and you send people over to GAF, now they're looking at your listing on GAF, but then there's a button that says find more contractors, right? And so if you don't control that, right? So for your maps listing, it's just bringing them to your map, and it helps create that loop there for Google. So you are correct. Try to keep all that traffic on your website. The other thing that you're doing with this link is you're putting it down in the footer. So it is it's kind of hidden, right? So most people aren't looking around your footer for links and things like that. So it's not, it's not it's not one of those things that's going to get them off your site quick. So Gloria, thank you. Chris, yeah, just reach out to us, man. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you, see how we can help you out. Nikki dropped her information in the chat. Nikki is our sales representative. So you could, there's her direct phone number, her email address, or just go to roofermarketers.com, book a call, and we'll be able to get you set up in there and see if we can help you out. Especially, we're moving into the season, right? It's time to get things going. If any time of the year, this is the time to get things moving. So. Any other questions? Great. Thanks everyone for your time today. Really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us. Hopefully we've been able to have an impact on your business and help you generate more revenue for your roofing business. So we'll talk to you soon.